Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. Stay with us. Series on what young people and how young people can impact their world from their corner is the conversation we continue to have here on Global Television. I'm Uyag Mofwegwe. As always, we're coming to you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. This time I'm joined by another very dynamic, promising young lady, Amina Ibrahim Biu, who is a commercial pilot trained at the New Zealand International Commercial Pilot Academy. Amina, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. Now, while I'm starting this conversation, I'm trying to imagine you piloting an aircraft, but that's not possible. But I'd like us to talk about what inspires you, basically, not just as a pilot, but generally as somebody who wants to make a difference in the world.
What inspired me to take on aviation as a profession was just travelling the world at a very young age. I was quite privileged to visit a lot of different countries with my family, and I also, experienced different cultures. That's one big part of why I want to travel, and I thought just being a pilot would be the perfect job for that.
Mm-hmm. But people say, look, it's quite a risky job to do. I mean, being in the skies, sometimes as high as 36,000 feet off the ground and so on and so forth. Don't you feel, doesn't your heart hang in between your lips when you think about all those?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. No. I can see how it can look, even if you're a passenger in a plane, you don't want your pilot to be, praying for and counting,
I can imagine. Yeah. But then I'm just curious because as it stands today, most people feel Nigeria, in Nigeria, not many young ladies your age who want to go into the aviation industry. They'll rather do things like maybe banking, do things like maybe media, as I'm doing right now. Others want to go into teaching, go into healthcare, do some sort of non-profit work, and so on and so forth. But you have chosen aviation right now, and you trained in New Zealand as a Nigerian.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering, what was it like? That process where you started the training up to the point where you rounded it off.
So I began my training, so you can start flying at any age with an instructor. So I began my training at the age of 14.
14?
Yes, it was something that I've always wanted to do, so I felt very lucky to be one of those students that graduated high school knowing exactly what career they wanted to pursue moving forward in their tertiary education. And once I started school, so as soon as I finished high school, I went straight into my institute where I studied and did my flying and theory examinations and everything. And so from then I went on to get my private pilot's license, which is the initial rating that you get and the initial certificate you get, which allows you to fly but not commercially. And then from then on, it's quite a big step up, and you further your knowledge and your training and your hours and learn about commercial operations and, the safety of, you're taking passengers now. It's that step up from being a private pilot, that you're getting paid passengers who are coming on your flight. You want to ensure the safety of the aircraft. You're put in charge of a huge, in some cases, carrying over 500 people. So, you have to be able to back yourself with your knowledge. Every decision that you make, you have to be able to back yourself with your knowledge, and as long as you do that and everything you've learned, go back to your training, you'll be able to do anything. Yeah.
This is interesting. You are a young person, and you appear to have been able to get your foot, get off on a very right footing from the beginning. You seem to have been able to make that critical decision very early on as a young person. But not every young person has had that opportunity. Maybe because of the kind of parenting they've had, maybe because of the background they've had, maybe because they're not as privileged as you, maybe because they're not also as smart. I'm just saying. But all of these are factors that inform how people make decisions and how quickly they make those decisions. What would you like to share with young people today as to how they can also take advantage of the moment and make some very smart decisions early?
Yeah, I do believe that I was, privileged enough to have the support and being able to attend a prestigious pilot school, which is also an airline preferred in New Zealand, so Air New Zealand's preferred training organisation. And yeah, I do appreciate that I was privileged, but I also went to school and I was learning with other people who weren't the same as me, people who worked for about 5 years to save up for their PPL, because the PPL is not seen as a professional license, so that's a prerequisite that you have to fund yourself, and it can be very, very expensive. So you see people, you know, older people, even I'm in class with 30-year-olds and people who have had previous careers and then come to flying. And I think that it's very achievable. It obviously depends, you know, a lot of people have different backgrounds. I was very lucky to get into it as soon as I finished school. But it's very doable, and at any age and for anyone. There are lots of females as well, and yeah.
Let's talk about how peer pressure also plays a role in all of these. Some people say, look, some young people will turn out very wrongly, others will turn out good, depending on what kind of peer pressure they experience growing up, what kind of peer influence, if you like, that rubs off on them. Let's talk about what peer pressure has been like for you.
I think that, so I went to a girls' boarding school, and I was surrounded by very ambitious and motivated women, and taught by women as well. And I think that I'm a strong believer in the environment that you put yourself in, and the people you surround yourself with does have an influence on who you are as a person. And yeah, I think that you need to surround yourself with good people, people who are like you, people who think like you. And when you look at your friends, it's like a mirror, you know, you want to see the person you see in your friends and in your friendships, and the type of friendships you have reflects as you as a person. Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I mean, your friend and you, Fatima, and yourself, you both appear to have something in common, maybe several things, but there's this one that stands out. You both seem to have this thing to want to come back home to make an impact based on what you've learned abroad, the skills that you've acquired, and so on and so forth. So what's that thing that calls your name back at home?
I honestly think that there is a lot of work to be done in the aviation industry in Nigeria, particularly safety, and also just encouraging women to get in there. Most pilots, only 6% of pilots worldwide are women, and only 0.1% of those are black women. So I think it's very important to encourage others and do your best to, you know, put yourself in the spotlight and be the change that you want to see. It's
interesting. I mean, you come from a country that is regarded as developed, all right, compared to us that's still developing. I mean, we are a work in progress, that sort of thing. But I'm wondering, how much do you know as of today with regards to our aviation sector in Nigeria?
I don't have a lot of experience yet in the aviation sector in Nigeria. I'm just in the process of converting my foreign license to the Nigerian one, and then from there I have to go through the type rating process for the particular type of aircraft that I'll be flying, and then after that line training, and then become a pilot on the line here in Nigeria. But I do think that I have seen, you know, everyone reads online and everyone sees news articles, especially about what happens. And I think that there is a lot of room for improvement, especially with safety and regulations. And even the governing authorities here in Nigeria also, I feel like there's a lack of organisation, and I think that everything, like it's, you know, we're a developing country and it's nearly there, but I think we just need to take it a little bit more seriously and take it up to the next level.
In a world where young people are largely, in this day and age, influenced by the internet, especially social media, so young people want to jump on TikTok and Instagram and all, I mean, Snapchat and so on and so forth. How do we talk to young people, have this kind of conversation heart to heart with them, how they can make the most of social media without having to derail?
I think social media can be such a powerful source for education, for knowledge, but I also think that it can also be, you know, it can be a deterrent from people's, you know, having the
a drive to want to forge ahead?
Yes, absolutely. I think that it can be sort of dangerous, especially if you're using it in the wrong way, especially in your developing years, in your teen years. But if you use it as a, you know, as a mode for improvement, because there's so many, even when I'm studying for my exams, for example, on YouTube, I go and I search for example, when I was doing my conversion exams here in Nigeria, there was a lot of material on YouTube, etc. And I think it's such a powerful tool if you really want to, you know, use it in that way.
For many years, maybe for, who knows, several decades, aviation, especially the aspect that has to do with piloting, had been considered by many as being gender specific. By that they say, well, it's for the guys, for men. But now we've seen that change drastically. We're not there yet. There's no parity as to how many women pilots you have, how many men pilots you have, but it will appear that's changing for the better. So what's your assessment of all of this?
Absolutely. You see, back when I was young, so I told you earlier, I used to travel a lot with my parents, and I'd always be that kid that would ask the flight attendants if I could say hi to the pilots. And you know, when I did that, I never once saw a female pilot in the cockpit. And that was also something that I wanted to do. I was saying that I wanted to be that inspiration, that role model for young children, to see females in the cockpit. But these days it has gotten a lot better. Like, for example, I saw that Ethiopian Airlines had a full flight that was all done by women, from the ground crew to the pilots to the flight attendants to the mechanics. All was done by women, and it was seen. It was something that made me very happy, and I was talking to my family and my friends about it, and it's definitely a change, and it's coming up, and women are getting into it, and I love to see it.
So what do you hope to see as we wrap up now? What do you hope to see just in 1 minute in this industry as you become a part of it going forward?
I want to see women putting their foot, getting that first step in, and having the courage to, even though it's a male-dominated industry, from the managers to mechanics and everyone, I think that it's very important for women not to be deterred by that, and encourage their sisters, their aunties, their daughters to go for a career that includes science, technology, mathematics and engineering.
Excellent. So it will appear we need to talk to you a bit more about some of these issues, but that will be right after we take this break, right? So we're going to continue this discussion with Amina Ibrahim Biu, commercial pilot trained in New Zealand, now in Nigeria, to do a conversion of her training. And we'll talk about that assessment and how it's going after this break. Do stay with us. We appreciate you for staying with us here as we begin to wrap it up now. So I just want to ask you this, Amina. I mean, you're here now, and we have young people. Nigeria is a country where you have millions of young people who are out of school, so they need a lot of guidance, they need inspiration, they need somebody to, if you like, drive them through inspiration, that sort of thing. How do you hope to impact young people, especially young girls, in such a way that in, who knows, maybe 10, 15, 20 years' time, we can have several more female pilots in Nigeria?
Definitely. I think something that largely inspired me as well was in high school we had a program called STEM. So it was science, technology, engineering and mathematics, exactly. Right. And I think that that was something vital that really gave me the, because I took, you have to be quite prompt in your sciences and your mathematics to be able to do a job as a pilot. And it really encouraged us, and it made science fun and it made maths fun. Mm-hmm. And I think if that's implemented in a lot of schools, especially encouraging women to be a part of something like that, which is quite male dominated, I think that putting that in our schools and in our education system will really encourage young people, and they'll take that on through their careers and through the rest of their lives.
Great. For somebody who has been overseas for several years, I'm sure you may not have a hang of so much that happens back in Nigeria, but the aviation sector is a bit complicated here, and Nigeria as of today does not have a national carrier. We almost have one. I said we almost have one, Nigerian Air, but that hasn't just come to fruition yet. Do you see the possibility of Nigeria having a national carrier anytime soon?
Absolutely. I think aviation is definitely a big, it's a big thing to organise. There's so many components that make it possible for us to fly the planes. And I think that if the work is put into it and the maintenance is, people want to maintain the standard and the safety, and we give a trust to our customers to be able to come and not even within Nigeria, because it's a national carrier, right. And we would want to extend across the globe for someone to hear the airline, Nigerian airline, and want to fly with Nigerian airline, just like there is with Emirates, with Qatar Airlines, and those are all national carriers of countries themselves. And I totally think that Nigeria is capable of doing it. We have the people, we're smart people, we have the money, and I think that definitely people can be it can be made into something big and successful.
There's the last question I'm going to ask you, right? As of today, we have young people who would watch you in the future, today and in the future, and they say, well, I love this lady, I'd like to be a pilot. These are young girls talking, for example, but then they don't have the means to go abroad. We want to look at the possibility, the odds that they could stay back here in Nigeria, study within the aviation sector to become pilots, and still get as much qualitative training as you have gotten in New Zealand. From where you stand now, from the little that you know already about Nigeria, and of course your experience in New Zealand, what more can we do to achieve that, who knows, maybe in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years?
Yeah, I think that, because I'm aware that there is schools, pilot training organisations in Nigeria, and I do know people who are successful and they've trained within those organisations, and I totally think that it's possible to be able to train in organisations like that within Nigeria. There's, you don't need to go overseas, and I know that there's many opportunities within our country. And as Fatima said earlier, it might take you a little bit longer just because of the the nature of studying in Nigeria, but it's totally doable. Yeah, and yeah.
Amina Ibrahim Biu, I'd like to say thank you for coming to talk with us today about these issues and sharing your thoughts and experiences as well. I've been talking with a very dynamic, promising young lady, Amina Ibrahim Biu, commercial pilot trained in New Zealand International Commercial Pilots Academy. We'll continue to talk with young people, whether they were trained at home or abroad, about all of these issues, just to bring you inspiration and information as well here on Global Television. I'm Uyag Mofwegwe. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again.